How's it going? This is Fox back again for sound design tutorials. A massive tutorial today. I'm going to show you how to make this swirling sort of dubstep bass, mid-range bass that I made. All of these sounds come from one sound that I made inside Massive. Chopped them up, pitched them up and down, double timed them, half timed them, and this is what I got, which actually comes in the track. There you go. As I say, they all come from this one massive patch. This is the MIDI clip with the notes going around it. I'm going to solo just one of these notes just to play it over and over. We'll solo the massive patch. There it is. Pretty straightforward. Looks like there's a lot of modulation, but it's just one envelope doing all the work. Nice and constant. I often do this. The same sort of attack doing all the modulation, so it's a constant movement of all the parameters that you want to modulate. So yeah, I'll just talk quickly about a bit of processing I've got on the master channel. It's no processing, it's just a big chunk that I've carved out. I'll show you it with the auto filter on. There's like a droning in the sort of mids, low mids, around 500 Hertz when I turn it on. Carved it out, done away with it altogether, made it sound real bassy, and the high frequencies were just doing exactly what I wanted it to do. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and initialize this new sound. Just quickly, the notes that are playing in this MIDI clip again are around hovering between G2 and D sharp 3 if you're trying to make this. So it's middle sound. I've pitched them all down quite heavily to give it that real bassy sort of feel. So this is what you start with in Massive, just one saw wave. Oscillator 1 is a scrapyard. I use this every time I make a drum and bass patch or a dubstep patch that I want to sound meaty and gnarly. It's the best wavetable in Massive in my eyes. I pitched it down 3 octaves, -36. If you hold Alt and then drag it down, it does it in full octaves, -36. Intensity I had around 3 o'clock, amp on full, routed only to filter 1. Filter 1 is turned on at the minute, so it's passing through it. We'll go ahead and set it up later on. Sounds boring at the minute. As soon as you modulate the wavetable position on Scrapyard, all sorts of fun is happening. We'll set up the main amp envelope first, which is envelope 4. That's how it comes as standard. Make sure the decay level, sustain level is on full, so that the volume stays on full, and the attack level on dead 0. Back it off slightly. Okay, might as well set envelope 2 up now, because this is the one that's doing all the work. I wanted it to, all of these notes are half a bar, so 2 beats. So I wanted the attack to take 2 beats to do its work. So over the 2 beats it's doing all the modulation that we want. So start of the note to the end of the note. And for this track at 140 BPM the attack was pretty much dead center. The level round on full. Decay around 1 o'clock on a clock dial. And the sustain level I had coming back down. So actually it might be a beat up and a beat down. Let's put it on and then I'll be able to tell you straight away. So yeah, I used it to modulate the wavetable around to about 11 o'clock. Yeah, you can hear it going up and then coming back down. So it's taking a beat to get to the top and then a gradual decline of the last beat. Giving that zub zub, the double effect, the zub zub. I used it on the intensity as well, modulating it backwards. That totally kills the sound, but I changed it to band, negative and plus. Lovely. Okay, Oscillator 2. This is another digital hybrid. It was Vulgar. It's an analog electric, sorry. Amp just shy of 2 o'clock. Routed only to filter 1. Pitches one down 2 octaves. Hold Alt, drag it down. -24. I'll solo this oscillator so you can hear what we're doing. Maybe boost the amp just slightly in between 2 and 3. So we're going to use that same amp envelope 2 to do all the modulation. Click first modulation box for the wavetable position and bring it back to around 10 o'clock. Again, quite static, quite boring at the minute. These warp modes are brilliant and massive. You should use them all the time if your sound's sounding a bit stagnant. This one was on formant. Hell of a difference straight away. Dirties and gritties it up, which is what I wanted. Same envelope again, pushing it positive. When you modulate the intensity when it's on formant mode, it sounds like there's a bit of a pitch change. It's changing the formants the higher the spectrum, and obviously the higher the spectrum, the higher the pitch. So it does give it a slight bit of pitch. Sounds like the pitch is changing slightly. Okay, bring the oscillator 1 in. Getting there. We'll solo oscillator 3. This one is a guitar pulse. Again, this is one of my go-to wavetables. There's a lot going on in this one. Down 2 octaves again, -24. The wavetable position starting point for this was around about 1 o'clock. We're going to modulate that. Same envelope, envelope 2. Negative to around about 10 o'clock. Only to filter 1, amp on full. I say static again, change it to formant mode. This one was just giving me the middle gritty part of the sound. There's not as much movement going on as the other 2 oscillators. I say I didn't modulate the formant on this one. You could do if you wanted. I didn't feel the patch needed it. Okay, all 3 oscillators. I'll turn this notch out of the sound now so you can hear what it sounds like, and then I'll click it back on at the end. Modulation oscillator I didn't use at all, very unlike me. I'd normally do some ring mod or phase, but I didn't. Noise oscillator I didn't use, nor any feedback. Insert 1 I used a sine shaper. Let's check the routing. Yep, you need to click on this this B at the top here, so this orange line flows all the way through. It does this for you if you set it up in a certain way, but just to make sure. Insert 1 wants to come after filter 1, and insert 2 wants to come here after the filter stage. And we want to go into FX1 first. So yeah, insert 1 is a sine shaper. This is a form of distortion. I had the dry wet on 10 o'clock, 11, same with the drive. Insert 2 we didn't use. You can turn it off altogether. Okay, let's have a look at the voicing section. I did give it some Unison voices. I'll give it 4 voices of Unison. Although it is a mid-range bass patch, anybody who makes dubstep basses doesn't do a monophonic because there's that much content and harmonics in them. So you're generally going to have a separate sub to gear the low end, so don't be afraid to give it a bit of Unison, modulate the pitch cutoff, which I'm going to do. Click it on, just so you can see a couple of those dots coming out the back. Pan position as well, in between mono and full on the right hand side. Pushing the whole sound out wide. This is what gives it that sort of swirling effect, so it's really filling a lot of the spectrum. How I've made this track, I'll cut everything out of the way when the bass comes in, so I wanted it to fill quite a lot of the spectrum. So yeah, series or parallel doesn't matter because we're only using 1 filter. I had it in series. The filter that I chose was a double notch. This is going to give a phasing effect. It's you see this notch here we've got in the bottom? It's 2 of them spread apart from each other. When you modulate it, it gives a phasing effect. Simple effect. Make sure the volume for filter 1 is all the way up. This NA is not applicable. The resonance I had on around about 10 o'clock. Cut off starting point in between 10 and 11. See, that's killing the sound, but when we modulate it down, with that same amp envelope, envelope 2, to ultimate negative, 0. Make sure the mix is all the way to the top so it's just coming out of filter 1. I didn't do anything in the oscillator section, I don't think. No, that's vibrato, you don't worry about that because we're not going to use it. I didn't assign any macro controls because I'm making a patch for myself. I generally don't. I do all the modulation I want inside it. When I make the patch, I'm not going to want to change it afterwards. The effects, I had a classic tube. This is more distortion. Drive wet pretty much the same as the sine shaper. Instantly beefs the sound up. It's putting something back in after we've done this double notching. Same with the dimension expander. The frequencies that we've took off with this notch as it's doing its sweep, this is going to put some back in. The dry wet dimension expander. The dry wet I had on about 11. Size how it comes as standard. I'll turn this on and off so you can hear the difference. And on. Just putting some harmonics back in. I say once we've took some of it away with the double notch and the EQM, I've boosted a low shelf. I wanted it to have some sub elements. I don't think I've done a separate sub actually. Yeah, I have done a separate sub, but it's in between. It's in between the bass notes here, so I did want it to have quite a lot of low content. So I boosted the low shelf a fair bit. There we go. Doing your dummy. That's it. Patch done. I didn't use any LFOs. It's easy to set up an LFO. If you wanted it to do the work of your envelope, you could set an LFO to 2 bars, have it on a triangle, and it'd do that sort of sweeping up and sweeping down which we've created within the envelope. I sometimes like to have a more subtle curve or more steeper curve going out. That's why I choose to use envelopes. Yeah, like I say, that's the patch done. I'll put the auto filter back in now so you can hear it's carved out the bit that I didn't like. That's with. You can do it to taste, you don't need it in there. It's up to you whether you want to do it or not. But yeah, that is how I did the patch. And then these bits that you can see are all chopped up. Some of them I've just double timed and stretched in different ways. Like this one's with a complex waveform. This one's with a Pro, and I've modulated the formants, pitched it down an octave. All from the same patch. I'll play it, this little section, with the full beat so you can hear how I've incorporated it into the track. I'll do a bit of a build up. We'll mute that. Set the loop off. There you have it. Don't know what to call it at all. It's a dubstep, mid-range dubstep bass. There's millions of them on here. This is how I made one. If you want to, this track I'm working on here, I've done solely on live streams. If you want to watch in on me when I'm making music on my live streams, how you want to do that, I'll do it through YouTube, obviously, with XSplit. You want to subscribe to my Facebook, Google Plus or Twitter account. There'll be a link in the description. That's the only way you're going to know when I'm doing these streams, because they're intermittent. I've got a full-time job, so I do them in the evenings and on weekends when I can. If you sign up to my Facebook and Google Plus page, it's Sound Design Tutorials, or my Twitter, it's at Sound Design Tuts. You'll get a little message telling me when I'm going to do these live streams, so you can come and watch me work. But yeah, for now, that is it. Okay, thanks again for watching. Cheers.